Hi, Sarah Pacaro. Today we're going to be talking about 4 reasons why you grew up feeling like you were not good enough and how this is impacting your life today as an adult. So remember, if you feel like you grew up not feeling good enough, you're probably an adult now trying to figure it out, reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts, much like I was, and you feel stuck. So remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment if you like this video so that you can be notified of more just like this that I post. We're going to get into today 4 reasons why you grew up feeling not good enough. Many people grew up in an environment where the parents or siblings or family members, teachers, peers, and other significant people in their lives told them that they were not good enough, or told them versions of this that had them believe that they were not good enough. And some of these messages that you receive are explicit, while others are very covert and very subtle. Sometimes to the degree that when you receive this message as a child, you're not even aware that something wrong is happening. You may get that intuition, that inner gut feeling, but you may not be consciously aware, hey, something's wrong, something's off here, but you get that feeling. So we're going to look at 4 common childhood reasons why a person grows up into becoming an adult who feels or believes that they just aren't good enough. That's one of the very core roots of the things that come up in my hypnosis rapid transformational rapid transformational therapy sessions with clients that they get to the root of, and is one of 3 of the most pressing issues that we suffer from today. So the first reason is that you were treated like you were worthless. So you were treated like you were subhuman, subpar as a child. Sadly, many parents, many authority figures see children, kids, as subordinate or as pieces of property. And as a result, they treat their child harshly and they damage them. They damage them emotionally, they damage them mentally, spiritually, sometimes physically, and sometimes permanently, depending on the severity of the abuse. A child is often treated as a slave or a pet, worthless, good for nothing, right, in the way, and they're abused. And when they become abused, whether it's one of those verbally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, sexually, it tremendously impacts the rest of their life. Many children are raised in a way so that their main purpose is to meet the parents' needs and not vice versa, the way it's actually supposed to be. As a child, you expect your parents to meet your needs. But in this case, when you're an adult now who feels that you're not good enough, it's as if your main purpose was to meet the parents' needs instead of them meeting yours. And if those parents, those caregivers fail to meet that child's needs, that child is left to internalize this, left to be punished, left to be manipulated, shamed, and guilt tripped into becoming obedient, into becoming a good kid, so that it makes it easier for the parents. And unsurprisingly, many children who grew up with a skewed sense of self have broken self-esteem, broken confidence, broken trust in themselves, and sometimes they can feel like they can't rely or count on anyone. So they end up isolating themselves. They become very independent, ultra independent, and have manifestations of all sorts of psychological, emotional, and behavior problems as an adult, right? They get labeled with all of these things as an adult, labeled with ADHD, labeled with cognitive dissociation disorder. Whatever the label is, the root cause of it is feeling like you're not enough. The second thing, how to know if you grew up in that type of environment, is if you were held to unrealistic standards and falsely blamed. Adults often hold children to very high standards, unrealistic standards. They have these expectations that this child be a certain way, when the thing is, the standards that this child is being held to, that adult that's holding that child to that standard most likely wouldn't even be able to meet that standard themselves. One example of this is in school. If a child is expected to be perfect, expected to get straight A's, do not bring a report card home unless it has straight A's or you'll be punished at every level of curriculum. Science, math, English, reading, writing, PE, all the things, this child is expected to get straight A's and expected to excel. And if they don't, they get this label of being problematic or sick, and consequently further traumatized by this punishment of rejection, or oftentimes put on medication Say that you get an A in math and you love math, you're very, very good at it, and that is your skill and your strength. Yet it doesn't transfer over to English where everything is different, and you get a B or a C in English instead of an A like you did in math. You're punished, you're left feeling rejected. Maybe your parents go so far as to say, you need to be on medication. What is wrong with you? And this child internalizes it at this guilt and shame that something is wrong with me. I don't know why math comes easy for me, and it's so difficult to understand or comprehend English. And so the child gets punished. And I imagine you can find similar examples in your childhood life where your parents expected you to meet a certain role that consciously or unconsciously your parents assigned you to unknowingly, yet you were expected to meet it. And they're forced into following these contradictory rules, right? And they're often forced, the child is forced to take responsibility for these things that they're not responsible for. So the parent sets a set of standards and rules and expects the child to attain to this. Well, they don't, those same rules don't apply to the parent. They can change and manipulate the rules however it best suits them, but hold this child to those standards and those rules, but the child themselves is not allowed to change the rules to suit their needs the way that the parent does, which leads them into developing this chronic sense of guilt, chronic sense of shame that haunts this child into adulthood and stays with them until they really focus on healing from within. And that's what I do. Again, if you're interested in rapid transformational therapy hypnosis, any of this is resonating with you, please click on the link in the comments below the description of this video, and we can connect and talk more about this one-on-one. Otherwise, continue listening on. You'll notice if you were constantly compared to others in childhood, this impacts your adult life. Parents or authority figures often compare one child to another in order to make that child feel bad about themselves and get them to change their behavior. They'll say things like, why can't you be more like your brother or sister? Or, Tommy's such a good boy. I wish I had a son like him. If Tommy is really good in sports, let's say football, basketball, and you're maybe more of an artistic, creative kind of person. You don't really care for sports the way that Tommy does, but dad and mom compare you to Tommy and say, I wish I had a son like him. Why can't you be more like him? Or Betsy is such a nice girl. You're just a spoiled brat. Why are you such a brat? Why can't you be nice like her? And then again, this child internalizes this and says, wow, I'm not good enough. Something's wrong with me. And these caregivers negatively compare children to other children, other places, and create this unnecessary competitive environment. And this adds to this child feeling insecure, feeling cautious, feeling flawed, feeling distrustful, and inevitably feeling not good enough, feeling broken, that something is wrong with them. So if a child experiences this when they're growing up, they grow up with this compulsion to constantly compare themselves to others and feels inferior or superior than others. They constantly feel like they're down here and everyone else around them is up here, and they just can't figure it out. They can't quite catch up or keep up because they feel that they're not good enough. The next thing is if you were taught to feel helpless, and this is in the realm of having a very controlling, very codependent, very helicopter type parent. If you were taught as a child to feel helpless, some children are raised to stay dependent beyond their years. Every child is dependent when they're a child. But if you were taught to stay in that realm of dependency, if you were infantized, if you weren't allowed to make decisions that you were capable of making yourself as a child, and you were micromanaged or hoovered, helicopter, there's all kinds of terms for it. If you were not allowed to experiment in a safe way, if you were not allowed to explore, to make decisions, to make mistakes, if you weren't given a safe space to fail and get back up, to fall down, you grew up believing you were incompetent of taking care of yourself, grew up looking to others, being dependent on others, looking for others to help you decide what to do, how to think, what to feel. And such a person constantly feels that they have less control over their life than they actually do, because as a child who's meticulously controlled, in psychology, this is a simple term called learned helplessness. This underlying mechanism here is that the parent consciously or unconsciously raises a child in a way so that the adult child won't become fully independent, and they will stay close to that parent and continue to meet that parent's needs. This dynamic stems from the parent's own ancient, unresolved fears of abandonment. This oftentimes shows up when the child graduates high school and looks into going away for college, and the parent will say things like, "You can't leave me. What am I supposed to do after all I've done for you? Really? You're just going to leave just like that?" And the parent has their own unhealed inner abandonment wounds and makes the child feel that they need to stay around, that they can't go spread their wings and explore and be independent on their own. It often shows up even with this child getting married and feeling like they have to still stay close and take care of their parent because the parent took care of them all those years. So this learned helplessness will always make you feel that you're not good enough. And the effects of such a childhood environment are very impactful, very detrimental. A response to these childhood adversities, people develop various psychological defenses, survival mechanisms, protective mechanisms. And some people become people pleasers who self sacrifice because they were raised to take care of other people and repress their true needs, their inner emotions, their interests, their preferences. So you become an adult who doesn't even know who you are anymore. You don't even know what you like, what you dislike. Other people raised in this type of environment grow up and become highly narcissistic and take on a lot of narcissistic traits, and they see other people, other humans, as objects to be used, and they never stay in the moment. They can't stop, they can't relax, they always feel like they have to do more, be more, in order to feel loved, accepted, appreciated. Others get stuck in this constant state of feeling like a helpless victim and live a very passive life, an unfulfilled life. You feel that something is always wrong, you feel not enough, your life feels like you're not enough, you always, there's something to constantly worry about, and you have this anxiety because anxiety is just worry spiraled out of control, and you always feel like you have to try extra hard, and you find it really difficult to just be content and just be present, feel joy, feel happiness. And most people don't even recognize this childhood adversity and their inner pain as such. Letting go of old defense mechanisms and roles can feel enormously challenging. You may try and you may go to therapy and learn about codependence, and to the degree that a lot of people are never able to actually break free from that. You read these articles, these blogs, you watch these videos, but then you say, "But I'm still stuck. I can't figure it out." And there are those who strive to be better, strive to overcome their painful upbringing, and are eventually able to see some rewards of all their self work, all this strenuous self work, and really live in the state of genuine, authentic joy, peace, and happiness. The way that I take my clients to that place is through their mind, through understanding and interpreting their own personal life experiences, through hypnosis, throughout the transformational therapy. It is a journey to the inner mind, the unconscious mind, to unlock and break free from all of these negative limiting beliefs that have been installed in you based upon a result of your upbringing in your childhood. If this is what you're ready for, it is a powerful transformational journey, one that is freeing and liberating. I would love to talk to you more about going on that journey, allowing you to live the life that you have always wanted and desired to. So again, click on the links in the comments below this video and schedule time for us to talk more about that journey. Thank you.